playlist. This is my third video talking about Herman Melville's Mardi. I am shooting on the same thing I'm reading from, so I'm not going to probably be looking at that. I'm going to be looking at this. So, anyway, these people are traveling through a chain of islands. It's an archipelago. Archipelago. And this place is populated by several self-proclaimed gods and demigods. The most prominent is King Medea on the island of Oda. And also the narrator, Taji, he pretends to be a demigod who just returned from visiting the sun. It is a fantastical journey serving as a satirical journey where the islands represent various nations, religious, and contemporary social ideals. Something it talks about is the class of immortals. The novel unfolds through several hierarchy of gods. During their philosophical travels, the narrator Taji and his companions visit Marma, the religious center ruled by the High Pontiff Hivohiti, and he boasts about maintaining a registry of gods, ranking them into different classes. The third class, Hivohiti proudly associates with the third class of immortals, proudly asserting that they are far superior to everybody. Corporeal demigods of Mardi, which he dismissively compares to worthless gourds. These higher deities are portrayed as facetious, snobbish, and detached from the struggles of the ordinary mortals. And through this class system, Melville parodies the rigid class structures and political machines, self-appointed superiority of human aristocracy and religious leaders. And the gods squabble over rank just like mortal monarchs. The Taji, the unnamed narrator, claims to be a divine being, half god and half man, or half and half deity, descended from the sun. His character is part human, mortal, and part divine, positioning him as a mediator between the mortal explorers as he meets and the higher, unseen powers of the archipelago. This duality mirrors the real Polynesian mythological concepts. There was in Volume 2, Chapter 15, Golden Dreams. The narrator experiences an endless and golden as the flowery prairies. Dreams that stretch across the horizon. Gold representing vast, untamed, overwhelming expanse of human imagination. And then there's the golden hell of Vivenza. Vivenza is a parody for United States. Volume 2, Chapter 62. Travelers witness the gold mining western side of the archipelago's island, Colombo. Melville turns this section into a sharp critique of greed, where the miners are slaving. They murder one another for gold and ultimately die in gold graves while longing to go home. Melville contrasts the fatal greed of the miners with those who escape into the narcotic dreams on the island of Norabama. Seekers are described as being in quest, a golden quest, for the golden gourd. Dreams is on Mardi, was functioning on multiple levels throughout the narrative. There was an escape from reality in Melville's first two novels, Taipi and Umu. It says these were biographical travelogues, and the readers didn't even believe it. He wrote Mardi to escape the fettered bounds of fact, because people didn't believe him anyway. The quest for Yilla. Yilla is described as a radiantly young and this narrator obsessively pursues her across these different islands And the book morphs into an adventure, metaphysical meditation on love, spiritual longing. Taji and his companions, including Babylanja, travel from island to island, debating different religious beliefs there. This satirical islands they visit feel disconnected from strict reality, and they explore human philosophy as fleeting illusions. Goblins is in there. Here's a direct quote. Now, while we were employed bracing round the yards, whispering, Jarl must needs pester me again with his confounded suspicion of goblins on board. He swore by the main mast that when the foreyard swung around, he had heard a half-stifling groan from the quarter, as if one of his bugbears had been getting its aerial legs jammed. I laughed. Hitting the goblins was incorporeal. Talks about the land of goblins and goblets. That was Valhalla. I don't want to read too much. I fell asleep. I read for an hour on here before, and then while I was uploading, I fell asleep. This chapter that I was trying to read from these goblins is called Noises and Portents. And portents. It talks about piratical ghosts, suspicions of goblins on board. There was also some ghosts with spectral pursuers, chapters XC1. What is that? XC1. What is that? 91? Anyway, allegorical journey concludes that Taji's recklessly steers his canoe through the outer reef and abandons his companions to become the unreturning wanderer. He didn't want to go back. He is immediately pursued by 3 avenging specters from Hawita's realm, representing his inescapable past and his guilt and the pursuit of fate beyond the mortal world. It is an island-hopping political satire. Another ghost is the spirit of Yilla. Spirits are intimately connected with the central spiritual mystery of the book. The heroine Yilla originally is said to have had her spirit recalled home by the spirits in Aurelia via the enchanted whirlpool. Taj's desperate search for her takes the shape of a psychological pursuit, blurring the lines between reality and supernatural. Jarl hears a supernatural sneeze. He's convinced that there's spirits on board. Alright, so I don't know how much more I have pulled out of this book to share with you, but I bet I will probably come back to that book, again, because I definitely enjoyed everything about it. There's a hobgoblin reference, talks about hobgoblins must have had something to do with Parky. Parky refers to the hijacked boat. Hobgoblins are blamed as a whimsical supernatural explanation for why they are drifting off course in the doldrums. After a frustratingly long windless calm at sea. Now, the narrator rescues Yilla by killing a priest, and he's elevated to the status of a demigod in the eyes of the Mardians, allowing him to navigate these islands with a larger-than-life mythical presence. The island of Marmar introduces priests and religious oracles and godlike figures that Melville uses to sharply satirize the 19th century religious dogma and human belief. Ayula, the female, is closely tied to the mystical lore. The natives initially planned to sacrifice her to the water god. Her character embodies the ethereal, idealized beauty, ungraspable spirit longing rather than flesh and blood reality. In Jarl's cosmology, one of the central characters was Skyman, called Jarl, a prototype Viking sailor. And Melville writes that Jarl's understanding of the world was Viking, uniquely Viking, and he envisioned that the Terraquis, I'm going to spell that, Terraqueous, like Terraquis world, which probably means watery world, to be formed like a tart, where the land was just a marginal crust rolling inside of a vast watery abyss. So it's definitely a flat earth book, and he says it's like a tart floating on a watery abyss. There's so much you can learn in this book, because there's so much I never even heard of. Here's another quote. Much better the American names barring barring scorpions and hornets and wasps, Ohio, Virginia, Carolina, Vermont, and if ever these Yankees fight great sea engagements with heaven forfend, how glorious, poetically speaking, to range up the whole federated fleet and pour forth a broadside from Florida to Maine. Aye, aye, very glorious indeed, yet in the proud crowing of cannon, how shall the shade of peace-loving pen be astounded to see the mightiest murderer of them all, the great Pennsylvania, the very namesake of his truly, the Pennsylvania guns, should be the wooden ones called by the men of war Quakers. The Great Pennsylvania is a satirical personification of the state of Pennsylvania, where Melville mocks the state's pacifist Quaker heritage, sarcastically dubbing the powerful weaponry of the mightiest murder of them all. I got this.